Great. So, good evening, everyone. We are on our fourth day, and we have one more session after this. So, the agenda for the last session I will share with you a little later, but let's look at what all we had done yesterday. Since we had started with Power BI and we did a number of things, and of course, I'll share the outline for today as well. So, we will not be working on a new file. We will continue working on the same file which you had seen yesterday. And today we will create some calculations which we had not done yesterday. All right. So very quick recap. In Power BI, you can have multiple visualizations on one page, and all of them are connected to each other automatically. So we are using the Q&A. We have our slicer. We have our card. Obviously, you can change the background color. You can also add text boxes and images. Then here we saw how two charts interact with each other. So when I click on consumer, it is interacting with my tree map like this, corporate and home office, right? Okay. Also, since we have kept two levels in the tree map, this one, we have kept two levels, which is category and subcategory. If I click on the expand button, it shows me all the subcategory. And when I click up, it takes me back to the category. We have also created a tooltip that allows me to connect one chart to a different chart, or rather a page to a different chart. How to create the tooltip? First, you have to change the size of the page. So you can either select tooltip, which is a predefined size. So the size is 320 by 240 pixels. Or you can also set your own custom size like this. So basically the tooltip is just a default that Microsoft has given, but it's not necessary that you have to choose that. You can choose any custom size that you want. But because we want this page to be accessible by all the other pages, you have to go to page information and turn the tooltip on. This is a very small thing that people forget. If you don't turn this on, then the other pages will not be able to connect to this page. So you have to remember to turn this on. Once you do that, simply select the visualization, go to format, click on tooltip, and you can just select that tooltip page. I had also told you that formatting options are many that are available in Power BI on all the charts. So even though the basic charts that you see, they look great, but they don't really offer you a lot of customization. Remember, when you go to formatting, there is a lot available here. So even the smallest of things can be changed. So the background color, x-axis, y-axis, category labels, data labels, right? Of course, you will have to spend quite a lot of time here to see what all is available. Just a small example. In shapes, you must be wondering what is the concept of shapes in a trend line. If it was a scatter chart, sure, I guess shapes make sense. Why would you have shapes in a trend line? In the shape, we have something called stepped, this one. And if you notice, stepped makes a chart like this. It's just a little different. And in a lot of cases, it's better to make a chart like this. So the point I'm trying to tell you is that you guys will have to go back and explore all these things, right? There is no documentation available, right? So the more you explore, like look at this, I can actually change the type of marker as well, right? I can also change the marker color like this. The more time that you spend, the better you will understand all these features. There is nobody who knows every single feature. And Power BI keeps on adding more and more features every month. So what you see today, there might be more features coming in tomorrow, right? So just make sure not to make a chart and move on to the next one. Make sure to practice a chart with as much formatting as possible, right? Why is it taking so much time to save it? 1 second. Save it once again. Do I have something else open on my system? Or why do I have so many of these? 1 second. That's strange. So let me close this and reopen it. Let me just make sure it is working properly. Yeah, it's working now. Then we had used two custom visuals. One was our advanced donut, which allows you to click on different parts of the donut. And the second one was the pulse chart, which allows you to create a pulse like this. Right? Obviously, the color and the speed and all those things can be changed. After that, we had done some inbuilt calculations. So this is a waterfall chart in which we are looking at the order date, and we're also looking at the segment breakdown. What this means is that it breaks the year over year change. So from 2012 to 2013, we know that the sales have increased and quite a lot. So in Africa, from 1.27 lakhs, it has become 1.44 lakhs. But we want to confirm whether this change has happened across all the three business segments or only in a few of them. That is what we can find here. And the best part is that this change that you see, which is 40.89%, this change is being calculated automatically. So you don't have to do anything. The moment you make a waterfall chart, it will automatically calculate the change for you. Any questions so far before we move on to some slightly more complex topics?
No, sir.
Right? Anyone else? Anything you would like to ask? All good? Okay. Now, we have done a few inbuilt visuals. We have done formatting. We have downloaded a few visualizations, and we have also used Tooltip, right? But now we want to do a calculation, which is we have our sales and our profit, but I want to find my profit margin. Okay. So we have our sales and we have our profit, but we want to find the profit margin. So here's my question. If I go back and open my data set, if I go back and open my data set, and I create a new column called profit margin. So I'm creating a new column called profit margin. And if I write equal to my profit divided by my sales value, is this correct or is it not correct? What do you
It's
think?
correct, sir.
Anyone? Now, I know it is manual work. You will have to go back to the data and create a calculation. But my question is this even correct? Is this how you calculate the profit margin?
Yes, sir.
No. Let me explain why. Think of it this way. The business is operating with different brands, right? So let's say we are talking about Suzuki, Maruti Suzuki, and we have different brands here, right? The brands I have are, we have an S-Cross, we have an Alto, we have a Swift, and we have, I don't know, let's say a Brezza, right? Let's just make it 5. Now here's my question. If this is the profit and this is the sales value, so let's say the sales is, I sold 5 cars and it was a sale of, let's say, 50 lakhs, right? Here I sold 20 units at 4 lakhs each. This is 80 lakhs. Swift was sold, let's say 10 units. So this is another 50 lakhs. Brezza was sold 4 units. So this is 40 lakhs. And finally, Kia sold only 3 units. So let's say this is 36 lakhs. And the profit is some number. And we're not really concerned here. So I'm just taking into 0.1, copying it down, but changing it a little bit, right? 2 lakhs, 3 lakh, and 4 lakh. Is this correct to find a profit? The entire business, is this the profit margin? Profit margin is equal to profit divided by sales, converted into a percentage. Let me just change the spelling here. And then find the average profit. Is this correct? Yes or no? 8%. What do you think?
No, sir. We have to take the units into consideration, as in the number of units sold.
No, no. It's not a question of the units. Why do we need the units? If I have the sales volume, the units have nothing to do with that. There's some other reason. Why is this not correct?
Do we need to consider the cost?
No. See, this is not how you calculate the profit margin. No, you don't say that, okay, I sold S-Cross at a profit of 10%, Alto at a profit of 6%, and then you find the average. Is the business at an 8% profit margin? No, the profit will be the total sales, everyone, equal to sum of sales. Why we're not able to get the right? Okay, 1 second. I'll just increase the width. It is a sum of sales, it is a sum of profit, and the profit margin will be total profit divided by total sum. What do you think? Do you see the difference, everyone? If I'm selling 5 products in the market, is my profit margin for the business the average of the profit margin of each of those products individually? Of course not. My profit margin is not the average of these numbers. No, my profit margin is total profit divided by total sales.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Guys, it makes sense. No, think about it. The average profit will always be the total profit by the total sales. No, it will not be calculated at a per brand level. And then you find the average. That's not correct. Why? Because 11% profit margin at a CS is more important than a 10% at a S-Cross, because the CS, whatever, S-Cross 10% is probably of more importance because an S-Cross is sold at a higher value, right? You don't find the average of all the individual profit margins. You find the sum of profit divided by the sum of sales, right? If, let's take a different example. Let's say Procter & Gamble. So if Procter & Gamble is selling 100 different type of products, at the end of the day, when they say that we have done whatever, let's say 9,000 crores in a year at a profit of 10%, does that mean that they are finding the profit margin of each different brand and finding the average? Of course not. They are looking at the total profit, the grand total, divided by the grand total of the sales, right? By this logic, this is not correct. I can't find the profit margin of each transaction and then find the average of that number. It will be completely wrong. What do? We will have to make a pivot table, right? And when I now put my, let's take an example, market, sales, and profit. So tell me, what is the total profit for the business? Equal to what? Guys, total profit of the business.
The sum of all the profits.
Absolutely. It will be the sum of all the profits divided by the sum of all the sales, right? Which is?
So C9.
Absolutely. So 11.61%. And if I ask you, what is the profit margin for each one of these markets individually, right? Then this is the answer. You will divide the total profit earned in Africa divided by the total sales in Africa, right? You will not go at a transaction level. You will look at the aggregate profit and the aggregate sales. Just remember this number, 11.61. Now, the problem is that in Excel, when I don't have this result, I can just go to another column and write a formula, right? It's very simple. And we don't even think about it. Like we have been doing this forever and we never think what's the big deal. But when I come to Power BI, it's very tricky, isn't it? Because there is no spreadsheet. I can't just write a formula like that. I can't just create a new column and add a formula. So please do this with me. Create a new page. Everyone, create a new page. And in this page, I'll be teaching you how to create the profit margin. 1 second. So let's see how to create the profit margin. To create a calculation, we use something called measure. This one. Do you see this? In the Home tab, we have new measure, and the new measure allows us to do calculations inside Power BI. Please click on this new measure. And did you see what happened? Suddenly a formula bar has come, which is very interesting, isn't it? Like so far, when we have been working on Power BI, if you notice, there was no formula bar, right? And a lot of us feel, okay, there are no formulas that you can write in Power BI. But the moment you click on new measure, this formula bar will appear. Let's call this my profit margin. Everyone, my profit margin. What should be my profit margin? Think of this and tell me what should be the profit margin. How do I get 11.61%?
Total profit by total sales.
Total profit by total sales. That means sum of profit by sum of sales. The same thing you will have to write here. Please write sum. Now remember, these are not Excel functions. The functions you see here are not the same as Excel. These are different functions, right? So don't get confused with Excel. But obviously the sum is the same. It's the sum. I write the sum of what? My profit. But you can't just write the column name. Even though it says the column name, you have to write like this. That means the table name, which is table 1, and the column name, which is profit. Right? It should look like this. The table name and the profit name and the column name divided by the sum of sales, which is table name and then the column name, like this. Right? Don't press enter. I'll tell you when to press enter. If you notice, there is also an option called format at the top. So you can also change the format into a percentage, because I would like the profit margin to be not as a decimal number, but as a percentage, correct? So I'll also select a percentage at the top. But the question is that when you press enter, nothing happens. Like there is no result. I would have expected that this 11.61% will come, but interestingly, there is no answer. This is how Power BI works. Power BI will not show you the result unless and until you make a visualization in which you use the profit margin. Whereas my profit margin been created, if all of you can see this, look on the right side. Do you see there's a special symbol here? This has this calculator symbol on it, right? The profit has a sigma, that means it's a number. But the profit margin has a calculator, that means it has been calculated. This is not coming from the raw data. We have created this calculation. So if I create a card, which we had done yesterday, if I create a card and I keep my profit margin in it, let's see what happens. We get 11.61%. Please try this, everyone. 11.61%. Right? So once again, I only did it on Excel so that you can understand how the calculation is happening. We don't need to do it on Excel, but this mistake never make. Never think that, oh, it's the profit by sales for each column. That's not what we are doing. We're looking at the sum of profit divided by the sum of sales, right? Like this. Let me make this into a bar chart and keep my market in this. So as you would expect, what is our result? Europe is 13.68. United States, Canada is 12.87. Asia Pacific is 9.97. Same numbers as you're getting here. These calculations are happening inside Power BI, right? Because it would not have been possible for us to do these calculations manually, right? Okay, you can ask your questions now.
Sir, how can you use the formula that we have inserted?
Yeah, so if you want to go back and view the formula or you want to modify it, simply click on the field and the formula bar will reappear. Right, so the formula bar is hidden. It is not shown otherwise. Only when you select a measure, the formula bar will appear like this. And interestingly, you can also zoom in and out inside the formula bar. So you can just press control, just on the trackpad, just pinch in, pinch out, like you do on a web page, and you'll be able to zoom in and zoom out like this.
Sir, what you call to click to show the formula bar?
See, I did not click on anything. I selected the calculation I've created, this one, profit margin.
So on the card that is showing me 0.12, as in.
Yeah, because you haven't made it into a percentage. So what you'll have to do, please watch. Once you select, just turn on my annotation tool. Just a moment. Give me 5 seconds. So what you will have to do, everyone, is in the profit margin, you'll have to select this, the percentage here in the format.
Sir, upon selecting the percentage like that particular format column, there is some error it is showing that some function only accepts column reference as an argument.
Show me your screen. I don't
Yes,
know.
sir.
I'll have to check.
So it's disabled.
Try again.
Okay, sir.
It's showing same for me also.
So here it is.
I'm checking. No, you haven't closed the parentheses after profit. It is sum of profit in the numerator divided by sum of sales in the denominator. Right? Yeah. And remove the last one. Remove the last one. 1 second. Let me just check once if you have made any other mistake. Yeah, this is okay.
Okay, sir.
Right? That's all. Right. Any other questions, anyone? Right. Right. Any questions?
Sir, I have actually doubt. When I did, if can I share the screen, sir?
Please.
Yeah. So what happened actually when I clicked on the formula and the market and the data, that percentage box came actually. That value is not showing. So what's the issue? If I don't know.
Click on this. Right. And what has happened is you have selected a column chart. You have to select the card. In the visualization pane, look in the fourth row and the fourth column. The fourth row.
Okay, sir.
No, in the fourth row and the fourth column. On the left,
So
see that 1, 2, 3. Yeah, on the left.
Yes, sir.
On the left. Yeah, click on this. Right?
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
See, ask questions. There's no point doing more topics unless and until the fundamentals are clear, right? Why did we do a sum of profit by sum of sales? Because of this logic that I explained, that we don't calculate the profit margin by creating a new column called profit margin. We look at the total profit and the total sales, right? That's why the formula did not say profit column divided by sales column. It said sum of profit divided by sum of sales. That means the total sum for Europe is how much? X, and the total profit is Y, and this is Y divided by X, like that. Now let me show you something else. Please click on this chart, everybody. Do you see an option called tooltips here? Please put the sales and the profit value in the tooltip and see what happens. Sales and profit in the tooltip and see what happens. Now you would notice that when you hover your mouse, it shows you all the three values. It shows you the sales, which is 32 lakhs, the profit, which is 4.49 lakhs, as well as the profit margin, which is 13.68%. So I can present multiple numbers in the same box. Right? Any questions, anyone?
No, sir.
Right. So I hope you're getting comfortable with the concept of doing formulas in Power BI. These are formulas, just like you do it on Excel, but yes, the functions are different, and simply writing it is not the important part. Writing it is very simple. What are you doing? How is it calculating behind the scene? That is very important. So my suggestion is that always keep an Excel file with you at all times, so that in case you want to double check what the result is and how is it coming, you will always be able to do that. Once you start to get comfortable, then you can directly write these formulas, but it's a good idea to do it on Excel as well, right? All right, now we've done a simple calculation, but this calculation will allow us to create some very interesting visualizations. Let's take an example. Please make a new page. Make a new page. And I want you to make a column chart. Everyone, a stat column chart. Right? And in this column chart, we want to keep our state in the axis. No, in fact, we can't select our state since there'll be so many of them. Let's select our, let me just think 1 second. We can keep,
Market.
since this is the global data, no, actually I work on a different data. On the global data, we can keep the country. Let's keep the country here. So let's keep the country in the axis, and let's keep the sales value in the values, right? It should look like this. Now think about it. The reason the chart looks like this is because there are so many countries we have. There are 165. And out of these 165, most of my sales is coming from, the first 15, 20 countries. So I want to filter my data. Let me add a border and shadow. Filtering means that from this list of 165 countries, we are only interested in looking at the top 15, right? So we open up the filter pane, this one, which so far we have not used. So please open up the filter pane. And what do we want? If you notice, it says country is all. So it's selecting all the countries. But we don't want to do that. We do not want to select all the countries. We just want to select the top 15, let's say the top 10 countries. So I'll open it and we will say top N, and how many? Top 10. By what value? By my sales value. Please do this, everyone. And apply filter. It should look like this. Country should be top N. The N is number 10. And then by what value? By the sales value. And you also have to click on apply filter. Like you apply a filter on Excel, similarly, we're applying a filter on Power BI as well. Right? Now, this is what I want to find. So I just make a text box at the top. Right? So what I want to know is, are my top countries also profitable? Let me increase the size so that you can see this clearly. This is my analysis that I want to do, right? We want to find, as an analyst, if my top countries are also profitable. Tell me, how do you find that if all these countries are profitable or not? What would you do? Like, I can see the sales value, right? So 22 lakhs, 9 lakhs, 8 lakhs. But I also want to find what is the profit margin. Remember, my global profit margin is 11.61% for the entire globe. So what I'll do is I will convert my column chart into a line and column chart. Please see this. It's the line and column chart, which is what we call a combination chart. Why do we need a combination chart? Because I want to present two things. One is the sales, the other is the profit margin. So I'll select this, and in the line value, we'll put a profit margin like this. Right? So I make a line and column chart. The shade axis is the country, sales is in column, and profit margin is in the line. So tell me, what is the interesting thing that you see about this data?
So we can see that the sales of United States are more, but the profit margin of China is
Exactly.
much greater
Exactly.
than the.
So what it tells you that from a two-layer perspective, in terms of top line sales, absolutely. US is the largest, 22 lakhs. China is much smaller at 7 lakhs. But if you look at the profit margin, United States is only 12.47%, while China is amazing. It's 21.51%, right? So which is more important?
Profit margin?
See, both are important, right? It's not that only one is important, but it is also important to know both these things. Simply looking at the top line is not enough. You also have to look at the profitability, right? Similarly, simply looking at the profit margin is not enough because you also have to look at the total sales. For example, if I tell you that for Unilever, Manipur has a profit margin of 80%. How does it matter? Because Manipur is such a small contributor to the India sales. It doesn't matter if that profit margin is very high. So usually the right combination we're looking at is something like China and Germany, because this is where the sales is also high and the profit margin is also quite high, right? And which are the problem areas for me? Indonesia. Indonesia is in my top 10 countries. Can you imagine? In the world, there are 165 countries I'm selling in. Indonesia is my ninth largest selling country, and the profit margin is only 3.86%, which is not a good sign. That's something that I need to improve on, right? If I want to look at more countries, I can just make it 20, and now it will show me my top 20 countries like this, right? Please make this everyone top 20. Okay, now this is my next question. I want to have a line that shows me where 0% is. The problem is, by looking at this chart, it is not very clear where 0% is. If you notice, 0% is here, right? Now, if I don't make this line, what will people think that this is 0, right? Like usually, if you present a chart like this, what do people assume? People assume that your 0 will be at the x-axis, and they will think that, oh, there is no number less than 0. But if you notice, look at this. Philippines has minus 8.79. But that is not very clear. It's not very clear that Philippines is minus 8.79, right? So we want to create a line. Now, you must be thinking, okay, we want to create a line. Let's just create a line. What's the big deal? But see, this is not PowerPoint. You can't just draw a line on top of it. I mean, you can go to shapes, line, and draw a line like this, but this is not really what I want. No, I want it to be a dynamic line. It should come using a formula. Let's create another formula now. Please click on new measure. Everyone, please click on new measure. And this is the simplest formula. What is this? This is my 0% line. Okay. And what should be my 0% line? It should be 0%. So I literally write 0. My 0% line is nothing but 0, right? Now you must be wondering, what is it? What is 0? What will happen is that when you create this measure called a 0% line, and I put my 0% line on the line value, I will get a line like this. Very cool, right? Once again, I created a 0% line. The name can be anything, but the value has to be 0, like this. So very clearly, we can see that in my top 20 countries, there are 2 countries that don't have a profit of at least 0. They are negative profit. They are incurring a loss. Right? Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to break my columns into 3 colors. That means a country that is between minus 10, I mean less than 0% should be red. From 0% to 10% should be yellow, and 10% and above should be green. So that will make it easier for me to identify which country is at what level of profitability. That means United States is what? It is 12%, so it will be 0 to 10 and then 10 to 20. Right? Let's say there are 3 brackets we're looking at. Less than 0, 0 to 10, and 10 plus. Let's keep it simple. So this will be green. Again, if you notice, a lot of these will come as green, but this one will come as yellow because it is between 0 and 10%, right? Like this. First, make sure that all of you have done this, then we'll continue. If you have any questions, please ask. All good. Okay, now we want to put conditional formatting on the columns so that the column can also change the color, right? So once again, very quickly, what have we done so far? In the country, we have selected top 20 countries. How did we create this orange line? We created a 0% line is equal to 0. And where did we put it? We put it in line value. So both our profit margin and the 0% line are in the line value, right? Okay, now we want to go to formatting and select data colors. Everyone, data colors, right? And we want to go to this default color, which is for the column. But we don't want to change the color like this. I mean, the idea is not to change the color for every single column, but to have 3 different types of colors as per the condition. So we click on this FX button, which is for conditional formatting. Click on the FX button. And this will allow you to format as per a rule. Okay, so what is the rule? I will select my profit margin and we'll say that if my profit margin is greater than or equal to minus 10 and is less than 0, right? Then it should be red. So I'm just choosing a red color here. So what will be, let's just make it -1 to 0, right? Okay. Then I'll add another rule and I'll say if my profit margin is greater than or equal to 0 and it is less than 0.1, which is basically 10%, then the color should be yellow. And once again, if my value is greater than 0.1 and it is less than any number, so let's just make it 100%, right? I'm expecting that nobody will have a profit of 100%. Then the color should be green. Okay. With your permission, I'll just check it once. And 1 second. So Indonesia 3.86 should have been yellow, right? Let me just make sure that I've done this properly. No, wait. Yeah, it's okay. Cool. You can have a look at this now. Right? It's just simple logic. We are applying 3 conditions, what we call rules. And what are the rules based on? On the profit margin. So if the value is greater than or equal to -1, -1 means -100%, and it is less than 0, which is 0%, it should be red. 0 to 10% will be yellow, and 10% and above will be green, like this.
So in my case, it was coming to be minimum and maximum. I don't know what's happening.
No, select the rules. Here,
Okay.
format by rules. Don't select the color scheme, select the rules.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Just be careful. Rules, profit margin, these should be numbers and numbers, right? Don't select percentage. -1 to 0, as in -100% to 0, 0% to 10%, 10% to 100%, like this. The result should look like this. So it's so clear, isn't it? Like just by looking at the colors, I don't have to tell somebody what to look at. It's very clear that, okay, there are 4 countries that have a profit margin, moderate profit margin, 0 to 10%. Then there are 2 countries that have a negative profit margin, less than 0%. And there are 14 countries that have a profit margin of over 10%, right? Like that. Right? It's not difficult. It's just that, there are a lot of things that you're learning. Filter, the colors, the combination chart, how to create the DAX measure. It's just that there are too many things happening. But yeah, it's not difficult. It's just that you have to keep in mind all these things. I'll also make a order date timeline so that I can see this border and shadow like this. Obviously, I can look at any period and it will show me the data for that specific period. So do you see this? Interestingly, if I only look at the last 3 months, United States does not have a very high profit margin. If I want to see my profit margin, let me put it in the tooltip. No, I can also already see it, 9.9%. It's not 10%, which is not a good sign. My largest country is not even earning 10% profit margin, right? Which is not a good sign for the business. Good. Any questions, anyone? Obviously, all these colors can be changed. So if you want this constant 0% to be not orange, a different color, you just come here, go to data colors and change it from orange to something neutral. So I'll make it black. And also I'll change my trend line into gray, right? Like this. Like I said, this I can't really cover for you because there is just so many options that are there. One second, just. So small things like increasing the spacing, to make it look like this. You just have to spend some time and get comfortable with all the options. Okay. Obviously, the background color can also be changed. So just keep a different color here. Actually, leave it. Let's not do that for now. Yeah. Good. Any questions, anyone on this? So anyway, what is the result? What is the answer to the question? Are my top countries also profitable? Sort of. If you look at the top 5 countries, they are fairly profitable, higher than 10%. But when you look at this part, top 5 are okay. But if you look at this 9, 10, 12, 13, they're not very profitable, which is a cause of concern for the business. Okay, one more thing that we can do is, please watch. I have this data with me. I can make another slicer. And in this slicer, I'll keep my profit margin. Oh, no, wait. No, let's not do this. Profit margin is a measure, so that can't be kept. Ignore that. Right? Let's just look at this for now. Any questions, anyone? Right, all good. Let's move on to another example. Okay, so here I will show you how you can show the total sales as a proportion of the individual sales as a proportion of total sales. Let me explain what I mean. Sales per market as a percentage of total. Okay. Let me explain what I mean by this. Let's make a table. Everybody, please make this the table. This one. right? And in the table, we just want to keep very simply, in the table, I want to keep my market and my sales amount. Please do this. Also increase the size, right? So also increase the size so that it is clearer. Right? Okay, so we have the sales amount. By the way, this decimal number is not looking very good. So just click on the sales amount. And like we had done with the profit margin, you have to click on column 2 and change it to the format will become a whole number so that the number is not a decimal number. So please select sales and go to format and make it into a whole number like this. Right? Okay, now let's do something interesting. What I will do is I will create a measure, new measure, and I'll call this total sales, right? Total sales, and this is equal to, for now, just write what I'm writing. When I show you the result, I'm sure you will understand what we have done. I will click on calculate. Okay, what are we trying to calculate? The sum of sales, right? And all market, like this. I will explain what we are doing. For now, just copy this. Calculate the sum of sales for all market. Be careful of the syntax, okay? Calculate, total sales is equal to calculate the sum of sales for all the markets. Let's see what will happen. Once we select the measure and we put it in, this is my total sales, right? I'll press enter. And when I put my total sales in my table, do you see this? Everybody? You see how interesting this is? What we are telling the table is that even though the total sales should be filtered into the 5 markets, don't do that. Show me all the markets together. That's why the same 12.64 million is coming on all the rows. Despite the fact that there is a filter, it is still showing me all the numbers. Just see if all of you are able to reach this point. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. In a table, you don't really see the advantage of doing this. But when I'll just copy and paste this. When I make a chart, you will see how nice this is. I'm selecting my clustered bar chart, the third one. And you see this, how interesting this is. What is this purple line? The purple line is a fixed line, 12.64 million, 12.64 million, 12.64 million. And this blue is always changing like this. Such an interesting way of presenting the data, right? You have one fixed bar and all the others are adding up to become that bar. Any questions on this, anyone?
So can you repeat this bar type?
Sure. Repeat what part? How, what formula did I write or why we are doing this?
Why we are doing?
Okay, so if you look at this chart, what are we presenting? We are saying that the total sales is this blue one, which is the same bar in every one. And the sales for this particular market is this light blue. So if I add up this, if I add up all of these, right? If I add up all of these, what will I get? I will get this one. It's just a different way of presenting the chart. But the question is, how are we doing this? What we have done is we have created a measure called total sales, which means I want to find the sum of my sales value, correct? But I want to find the sum of my sales value within all. What does the all say? Look at the description. It will return all the rows in a table, ignoring any filters that might have been applied. So what is the filter in my table? Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America, US. So market is my filter, but it is ignoring that filter. And since it is ignoring the filter, that's why the number is the same in every single row. Right? Any other questions, anyone on this? See, these are the building blocks of DAX. DAX is a very advanced language. It can do amazing things. Some of these things we'll be doing in the next example, but you have to understand that learning the basics is super important. So the basic idea here is I said, find me the sales, but find me the sales for all the markets. Don't find me the sales for each market individually. And that is what it is doing here, right? Right. So I would like you to go back, think about it. I've already shared access to the courses. There is a separate course on DAX. See, with DAX, you will have to spend some time to understand and see. Right now, if you ask me, but why would I want to make a chart like this? You will have to take my word for it, right? Because I work as a consultant, so I know that these things are important. You might not see the value in it, but the client is going to be super happy when you present this. This just makes the data so much easier to understand. Otherwise, what happens if there is no total sales value? I get this. There's nothing wrong with it, but there is no bar that is showing me the total value, which is all the 5 markers put together. By doing this, it makes it a lot easier to understand, right? Let me just change it into a neutral gray color, so it looks a little nicer like this. And obviously you can add the data labels as well. I haven't done that, but you can add the data labels here as well. Right, so 4, 3.3, 2.4, 2.2 plus 0.8 adds up to become 12.6, right? And you can obviously keep slices, let's say for my segment, and it will show me for different segments how the numbers are changing, right? Okay. We have a few more examples in DAX, and after that, I'll come back to some other topics, right? There's just two or three more examples. Now, the next example that I'm going to show you will require what we call a date table. Let me just Google it and show you what it is. It's called a date table, right? Just one second. Okay, anyway, but as you can see, there are a lot of links that explain you how to make a date table, how to make a date table, how to make a date table, right? So the question is, what is a date table? Why do we need it? If you want to do calculations, right? Let me just write it down, 1 second. Just closing everything. And we don't need this. Okay, perfect. If you want to do time-based calculations, right? You must have a date table, right? And a date table has 4 characteristics. Number 1, it should be a date or a date and time value. That means either it should be the 29th of December or the 29th of December and a time value. The second thing is there should be no missing dates, right? The third one is it should have all dates. That means no dates should be skipped. And the fourth one is no date should be repeated. That means unique dates. Let me say that once again. Why do we need a date table? You must have a date table if you want to do time-based calculations, right? You must have a date table. For basic charts, this is not required, okay? But if you have to do time-based calculations and create advanced visualizations, it's a must, right? It's 100% must. It's not an option. You have to create a date table. Now, a date table means there are 4 metrics that it has to meet. Number 1, it should be a date value or a date and time value. Number 2, there should be no missing dates. Number 3, no dates should be skipped. 1 second. Let me just, I've repeated this. So there should be no blank cells. This is what I mean. It should be a date column or a date and time. There should be no blank cells. All the dates should be there. There should be no missing dates. And finally, no date should be repeated. So I want you to tell me in our data, please come back to Power BI and click on this button. Everyone, called the data view. Please click on the data view. Now tell me, in this order date, are we meeting those 4 conditions? Yes or no? Let me also sort it in ascending order. Now tell me, are we meeting these 4 conditions? Yes or no? I'll just put them side by side so that you can compare it. Are we meeting the first condition? Is it a proper date?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. It's a
Yes,
proper
sir.
date, right? Okay. Are there any blank cells in my column?
No, sir.
Not really. Why would there be blank cells? It's a complete data set, so there are no blank cells. So the first 2 things are okay. But what about this one? Does it have all the dates? That means the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. What do you think? Now see, when I scroll down, it seems that every date is there, but is there a guarantee that every date is there? Maybe not. Maybe there was one date on which there was no sales. Maybe the system was down and no sales was recorded. There are a variety of reasons that maybe on a single date, maybe on a specific single date, no sales was recorded. That means what? That means that I don't have the confidence that this is a list of dates with no dates. And finally, does it have unique dates? Obviously not. As you can see, the first is appearing multiple times, second is appearing one time, third is appearing multiple times. So how many conditions did we meet? We have met
Two conditions.
Two.
We have met the first one, we have met the second one, but we have not met the third and the fourth one. Now, think smartly and tell me, do you ever feel that the third condition will be met, that no dates will be skipped?
No, sir.
It's very rare. Think about it. Any data that is given to you for a year or for 1 month, can you tell me with confidence, without even looking at the data, that every single date is appearing? Not really. Like if it is the data from Big Bazaar, would you have every single date in the year?
Maybe.
Most likely, yes, because Big Bazaar is open on all the dates, correct? But what if there was a lockdown on one date and the store was closed? What if there was a renovation happening and no sales happened on that date? So obviously no transaction would have been recorded. See, these are practical situations I'm talking about. I'm not talking about extreme situations. I'm talking about very practical things, right?
Or basic strikes.
There was a
Basic
strike.
strikes.
So for any data, people say, I have complete confidence that every date is there. How can you tell me with confidence that every date was there? It's not possible for you to be 100% confident. Also, what about this one? In a data set, will the date be repeated or will it be unique dates?
Most likely they will be repeated because
Most likely they will be repeated. Because if it is data related to sales, transaction, finance, budget, HR, how is it possible that one date is appearing only one time? Obviously, every date will appear multiple times. Like if it is the date of joining, obviously we can't expect that people will be joining on every single date. Also, how do you know that on one date only one person joined? It's not practical, right? One date can appear multiple times. So the basic one line takeaway is that when you are working on Power BI, you must create a date table. See, a lot of people say, Havish, what if there is a situation where I don't have to create a date table? And I ask them, can you guarantee that all these 4 will be met? And people say, no, this can't be met. That means you have to create a date table. This is just to show you that date table has to be created. What is it? How to create it? We will cover that, right? But this is not optional. If you want to work on time-based calculations, and if you want to work on advanced visualizations, then you have to create a date table, right? Okay, let's see. So tell me, in my data, what is the range of dates from which date to which date? Remember, it's 4 years. So from which date to which date?
So
1st of January
to 31st December.
To the 31st of December 2015. Correct. Now, if I want to create a date table, we will go to home and there is an option called new table. Please click on this. Home and then new table. This one. And again, you notice a formula bar will appear. What do we want to create? We want to create what we call a date table. And in this date table, we want to create a list of dates. So we use a function called calendar. Look at the explanation. It says that calendar will return a table with one column, which has all the dates between a start date and an end date, right? So calendar, and now I have to put the start date and the end date. So tell me, what should I write here?
1/1. 1st January.
But if I write 1/1/2012 and 31/12/2015, what is the problem in doing that? It's not dynamic. Tomorrow, when 16 will also come, you will have to come back and change the formula, correct? See, if I wanted to write the date, I could have written 2012 1/1, right? And the end date is date 2015 12/31, correct? There is nothing wrong with this except the fact that I am freezing 31st December. So that means that every day when more transactions will come, I'll have to come here and change the formula, right? I don't like this approach. That is why we should always do minimum order date, right, to maximum order date. Simple. See, why are we telling the system it is 1st of January and 31st of December? Let the system find out automatically. So I'm telling it, see, I don't know what is my earliest date. I don't know what is my latest date. So I'm instructing Power BI to go and find the minimum date and the maximum date like this.
So, but in any case, the start date will remain the same even if more transactions are made.
No, that's not true, because in a lot of cases you might have the data for 2 years, and then sometimes when you're doing the analysis, we add some older data also for historical analysis.
Okay.
Right? So you're right. I mean, usually you would expect that the order date, the minimum will not change, but you see my argument, no? You are analyzing the data for 2020. You present a report and give it to the manager. The manager suddenly says, Havish, can you show me last year's data also? Now you will be adding last year's data, so obviously the minimum will change, right? So it's always considered a good practice to keep both the minimum and the maximum dynamic like this.
Okay, sir.
Right? Very simple. This is something that you have to do every single time you're working with the Power BI report. Whether it's an HR report, a supply chain, operations, finance, it doesn't matter. You have to do this, right? Because unless and until you create a date table, you will not be able to do two things: advanced visualizations and calculations. And obviously both those things are very important, right? So just think of this as a habit. The moment you open the Power BI report, before doing anything, you should make a new table and write this. Just memorize this, okay? Okay, now we have done this. Now, if you notice, we also have the time value, 12 midnight, 12 midnight, 12 midnight. It doesn't make sense to have all the time values, no? So just change the format into DDMM, YY. We don't need the time format here. If you want to keep it, you can, but then what's the point, right? So just remove the time format, just select it and change it into DDMM, YY here. Right? Now here's my question. We know that the minimum and the maximum is 1st January 12 and 31st December 2015. So if I go back to my report and I make a new page, can all of you see on the right side? Now we have two tables. One is the date table, the other is table 1, right? So if I select my date from here and I make my sales from here, why is my chart not coming properly? What is happening? Why is it showing me 1264, 1264, 1264, 1264 in all the 4 years? Guess, anyone?
It's selecting all the rates.
Okay, think in a very simple way. We know that the date table was created using the original table, but the problem is, how does Power BI understand that? We have to create a connection between both these tables, right? Like a VLOOKUP. So we have to click on this button called modeling. Everyone, please click on the modeling button. Now, do you see what is happening? We have two tables with us. So tell me, which columns have to be connected to each other? Guys, which two columns have to be connected? We want to connect this to this, correct? How do we do that? Very simple. Select the order date, drag it and put it on top of date like this. That's it. And this is how, everyone, you create a relationship between two tables. Once again, all we have to do is I select my order date, click on it, drag it and put it on top of date like this. And now, since we have created a relationship, I will be able to create a visualization in which the date is coming from the date table and the sales is coming from the sales table like this. Please try this, everyone. I'll just copy the heading so that we know what we are doing, right? So we have the sales from the sales table connected to date from the date table, like this. There is nothing special in this chart. I just wanted to show you that we can select two different things, sales and date, and bring them together in a single visualization. Sorry guys, I got disconnected. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So a quick recap. If somebody says, why do you need a date table? To do calculations and create advanced visualizations. How do you create a date table? By going to the data view and creating a new table. And how do you make the date table dynamic? By writing minimum and maximum. But then how will the date table and the normal table connect with each other? By using the model. See, do you see how in the beginning I told you that there are a lot of things in Power BI, but I will not tell you what all is there. As we go along, we will slowly start to do every single one. Let's see what all we have done so far. We have already done, we have used the fields, we have used visualization, we have used formatting, we have used quick measures, we have used the report, we have used the data view, we have also used the modeling view. This is all that is there. There's nothing more than this, right? Right. Any questions, anyone on this? Before we do some calculations, anything you will want to ask? All good. All right. Now let's come to the fun part. This is slightly boring, I know. Date table, connection, model, all of that. Now comes the fun part. I want to see the change month over month. Okay. This is what I mean. Please watch. I'm going to create a column chart. And in this, we will keep our date and our sales value. Please do this, everyone. I've selected the column chart. Okay, very simple. I've selected the column chart and we have selected the date and our sales value. Selected the date and our sales value. Okay, so we have 2012, 13, 14, 15, right? If I click on the expand button, it should show me all the quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Please make this. Okay. And in this, I'll be explaining you how to do a quarter over quarter change. Or what we call a QOQ change. Okay, so what is a change from Q1 to Q2? Q1, the sales was 3.38 lakhs and then it became 4.8 lakhs. Now I want to calculate the difference. I want to see from Q1 to Q2, what is the change that happened, right? Now these type of questions, if you want to answer, you have to use calculations, obviously. Now these are calculations that require dates and hence you require the date table, right? Otherwise, if you did not have the date table, these things would not have been possible. Right? But before we do this calculation, if I go back to my old charts that we have created, you will notice that the chart is not working. Suddenly something has gone wrong. Look at this. Wherever I was using a date, right, it doesn't seem to work properly. The reason is Can anybody identify the difference between my order date and my ship date? What is the difference here? Anyone? Between my order date and my shipping date, what is the difference?
Sir, the order date is the date the client ordered the
No.
item.
That's not what I mean. I'm asking in terms of Power BI, when you look at it, does the order date and the ship date look different?
No, sir.
No,
Yes,
see
No,
this?
sir.
What is this?
calculator.
What is this? The calendar symbol. This calendar symbol is only appearing for the shipping date. Why is it not coming for the order date? Both of them
Because
should
I
be
think
dates,
in
correct?
shipping date there I think in shipping date there are many sub columns, I guess. If you click on that.
They just remember our original data. There is nothing different between my order date and ship date. This is also a single column. Ship date is also a single column. It's the same thing. It's just different dates, right? Okay, let me give you a hint. Let me remove this relationship. Okay, now do you see the order date and the ship date? Do you see that both of them have a calendar symbol? But the
Yes.
moment you create a relationship, what will happen? The order date will not be a date anymore. That means in my chart, I can't use my order date. I have to use the new date that I have created, like this. Right? So let me explain that here. So this is very important. Once you create a model, which is a connection, your original order date will not work. You have to use the new date table. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
This is not our mistake. It's not that we have done it in a different way or in a special way. This is how Power BI works. Power BI says that you have an order date, which is year, quarter, month, and day. But the moment you tell Power BI that, see, I've created a proper date table, then the original order date has no relevance. Why are we using the order date? Because now I have a proper date table, right? This will happen automatically. So once you have created a model, you will not work with the original order date. You will have to use the new date table. That's why if you notice, in any chart in which I was using, I don't know if there were any other charts or not. Okay, there were no other charts that I had, right? But this was the only chart where we had the, one second. This was the only chart where we had the date, right? Now this, you cannot use the order date here. You will have to use the new date table that you have created. So just keep that in mind, right? That's why if you notice, I'm using the date. I'm not using the order date because I can't. The order date cannot be used now, right? And how do you remember all this? Because see, there is no symbol here. If this was a proper date, then there should have been a calendar symbol like this, which would have shown us the date hierarchy, the year, month, quarter, and day. Why is it not coming for the order date? Because this is not a date anymore, because we have created a proper date table, right? Okay, so from Q1 to Q2, I want to find my change, right? And the best part is that Microsoft has given you inbuilt calculations. So we don't have to write the formula. The formula has already been written for us. Let's see how we do this. First, make this chart, everyone, with the date and the sales value. Please make a column chart with the date and the sales value, right? What is the requirement? Very simple. I want to find the quarter over quarter change, which is what we call the QOQ change. Right? Just make it like this. Again, the best part is you don't have to write the formula. The formulas are already written for you. All you have to do is to click on quick measure. See, earlier when we did the profit margin, we did a new measure, which is a calculation from scratch that we have to write. What is a quick measure? It's a list of common calculations, right? So you don't have to do anything. You can just click on this button and it will automatically create the calculation for you. Let's see how we do this. So I will click on this, on the quick measure. As you can see, they have already given you all the calculations that you will require. We want to select quarter over quarter change, this one, quarter over quarter change. And it will automatically create the formula. We don't have to do anything. In the base value, we'll keep our sales value. And in the date, we'll keep our date from the date table. Please do this. The base value is sales and the date is the date from the sales table, from the date table. Right? And that's it. Just click on OK. And beautifully, there will be a formula created for you called sales QOQ percentage. Now, I know the formula looks a little scary because it's quite a long formula and it's very different to Excel formulas. But for now, we are not really concerned with understanding it. Why? Because we know it just works, right? So I have my QOQ percentage. How do I see this? I will put it in my tooltips. So the moment I put my QOQ in my tooltip, see this. Q1 was 3.38 lakhs. Okay. Q2 is 4.8 lakhs. So what is the growth? 41%. Q3 is 6.1 lakhs. So the growth is 27%. Q4 is 35% growth and Q1 is 51% degrowth, like this. Right? It should look like this.
Can you repeat the formula part?
How to create the formula?
Yes.
You click on quick measure. And here you will select quarter over quarter change, this one.
Yes.
And in the base value, you will select your sales value. And in the date, you will select your date table, like this.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all, right? Do you see the simplicity? If I wanted to write the formula, we could have done that. But because Microsoft knows that a lot of users don't want to bother themselves with the formula, they just want the result, right? That's why they have created these inbuilt calculations, right? And that's it. Once you do that, you will get the formula like this, which is basically comparing the current quarter with the previous quarter, right? And telling you the change. And that's it. Once I've done that, I can put my QOQ percentage in my tooltip here. Okay. When I put it in my tooltip, the value will appear like this, 41% growth. Right? Okay. Okay, I'll just wait for 1 minute in case anybody has any questions.
Sir, 41% growth is not showing.
Have you put it in the tooltip? QOQ percentage in tooltip?
Yes.
Show me your screen. Let's see. Just scroll down. Okay, and take it take your mouse over the second quarter, Q2, on the chart. Just go to the chart now. Just take your mouse over the second quarter. No, the second quarter. It's coming, no? 41%. Q1, there'll be nothing, no? Because Q1 is the first month. So there is nothing to compare against.
Oh, okay, sir.
Right? The change will only come in the next one. Again, a lot of people, when they see a visualization, they make an impression. They feel this is just a simple chart. There's nothing special here. But do you know how much effort has gone into it? I mean, not a lot of effort, but it's quite complicated, right? You're calculating the quarter over quarter change. That is why never look at a visual and assume that it's simple or it's difficult. The visual might look like this. It looks very complicated, right? Look at this one. It looks so complicated. But the truth is, this was so simple. We just went to the store, we downloaded it, and we created it. Literally in 5 minutes, I can make the entire thing. On the other hand, if you look at this one, when somebody looks at it, they will say, what's the big deal? This is just a column chart. But we know that this is a special chart where the change can also be seen like this, right? Now, how do you understand how these formulas work? See, in Excel, mostly if you ask me, should we learn the formula or should we just learn how to use it? Should we just memorize it? 90% of the time, I'll tell you, learn it. It's important to understand every single thing. Don't just copy and paste formulas from here and there. But in the case of DAX, it's a little different. In the case of DAX, because these have already been created for you, I would say it's not a bad idea to just use it. Even if you don't understand it, that's okay. But yes, if you want to be in data, then you have to understand it. Then you can't say that, oh, I just click on a few buttons and I create it. You have to also understand how it is being done. So what is happening here? Very broadly, I'm telling you, obviously you can learn it from the course that I have shared with you, right? See, I'm creating a variable called previous quarter. Just a name, a variable name called previous quarter. Like we use the let function in Excel, no? Similarly like that. We are finding the total sales for the previous quarter, which is -1. And how are we doing this? Because the date add function, look at the description, everyone. What does the date add function do? It moves the given set of dates by a specified interval. That means that if you give it January, it will go to December. If you give it February, it will go to January. So what did we do? We said that move my dates by -1 quarter. That means go back to the previous quarter, right? And that is how you get the value for the previous quarter. Now, once I have the current quarter and the previous quarter, what will be my result? Which is my current quarter minus previous quarter divided by previous quarter. Simple. So if I ask you what is the change in December compared to November, you will say December minus November divided by November, correct? That's what we are doing. My current quarter minus the previous quarter divided by the previous quarter, like this. Okay. So when I started, I also did the same thing. I used to click on the button, get the formula. But then over a period of time, slowly I started to learn all these things. And now I'm at a point where I can write all these formulas without going to quick measure. I can write these formulas by heart. Good. Any questions, anyone? Right. Let's just quickly recap what all we have done in DAX. The first simple thing we did was a profit margin. What was that? It was nothing but the sum of profit divided by the sum of sales. After that, we use the profit margin in a combination chart, which is a line and column chart. So we kept the country, sales, and the profit margin. We also kept the color as per the profit margin. So less than 0% is red, 0 to 10 is yellow, and greater than 10 is green. Then we created percentage of total. See, I know right now you must be thinking, why did we do this? But you just have to take my word for it. This is one of the most important functions in DAX, which is the filter and the all function. So I've covered the all function. So here we said that we are using total sales, right? And what is my total sales? It is the sum of sales, all market. All means that even though I have kept 5 markets, the number is not getting split into 5 markets. It is showing me the total sales, which is $12.64 million, right? And then we have done a date table. So I told you that you can make a date table and connect it to the original order date. So we went to data, we created a new table, and the calculation was calendar min and max. This is a standardized calculation that you will use everywhere. After that, we created a connection between the new date table and the order date. Once we have done that, we can create calculations like this: month over month, YTD, QTD, right? All these things. Any questions, anyone? Okay, let's do a slightly easier topic. Then we can wrap up and we'll resume tomorrow. Let's just make a new page.
So just a small question.
Tell me.
In the sales quarter over quarter, if we use the ask, would it also provide us with the details?
No. As of now, the ask a question is not smart enough, which is the Q&A is not smart enough to do these type of things. Going forward, do I expect that in another 2 years they will add these capabilities? See, it's hard to say. And you know why? Because who will create the date table? The date table still has to be created, right? Without creating the date table, how can the question give you the answer? But we don't know, it is possible that they might offer you some option in the future to do this. But as of now, nothing like that is there, right? All this has to be done the way I have shown it to you. Good. Any other question, anyone? All right, let's make a new page. A last example for today. I think we have done quite a lot. Last example for today. Please select this one, the scatter chart. We all know what the scatter chart is. The scatter chart allows me to show 2 axes, the y-axis and the x-axis, and both of them can be numbers. On the x-axis, I'll keep my sales amount, right? And on the y-axis, we'll keep our profit margin, right? Like this. Please do this, everyone. On the x-axis, sales, on the y-axis, profit, and then keep the country in the details. You should get this. Country is in detail, sales is in the x-axis, and profit is in the y-axis, right? Okay, can anybody tell me what is this? What are these?
Outliers.
Outliers, right? Now, this is not outlier detection in the sense that we have not created a statistical model to calculate the outliers, but this is just a visual inspection. Just by looking at the data, I know these are outliers. So if I remove my profit margin and I keep my profit in the y-axis, then it will make this. Again, you notice outlier, right? But what if I keep something else? What if I don't keep my country? What if I keep my customer ID? Please do this, everyone. Please keep the customer ID in the details. Right now, as you can see, Okay, as you can see, it's creating a simple chart for me. There's nothing special about it. But Power BI has this beautiful feature, which is, please click on these three dots. Everyone, please click on these three dots. And we have something called automatically find clusters. So it can do cluster analysis for you in a single click. Automatically find clusters. Now it is asking you, how many clusters do you want to create? So let's say we want to create 5 customer clusters. So I will write 5 here. And when I press OK, very nicely, it will create 5 different customer clusters for me like this. Very cool, right? So what algorithm is it using? This uses your k-means clustering, right? It is your k-means clustering, and this has different methods in it. So we have something called the Euclidean distance, and we have something called the Manhattan distance. These are usually concepts that you use in data science, R and Python, but it's good to know that this can be done even on Power BI, right? With no coding required. This, by the way, is one of the simplest and the most common models that we use for clustering, right? We just Google it, k-means clustering, and you can see how the k-means cluster works, right? Quick question. Think carefully before you answer. Which cluster is generating the maximum profit for the business? You have 5 colors here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, so tell me, out of these 5 clusters, which cluster is generating the maximum profit for the business?
Orange.
Okay, then let me ask you in a different way. What is the difference between the orange cluster and this magenta cluster? See, these are questions that your manager asks you, your client asks you. And the answer is not that easy, right? Because even though there are many more people in this cluster, the numbers here are very high. Look at this. Profit of 8,700. Here the profit is just 1,900, 800, right? So it's not clear what the difference is. So what do? I will create a bar chart, okay, next to this. In the bar chart, we will use our customer clusters from here, from the right side. Now, if you're wondering where did this come from, this is not a field in our raw data. The clusters have come because we have created the cluster. So the moment you click on these 3 dots and create a cluster, it will automatically create customer ID clusters. So now in my bar chart, we can put customer ID clusters and put our profit amount. And very interestingly, it tells you, look how interesting this is. Cluster 2, okay, is the one with the highest profit. See, nobody thought of that. It's actually these customers which are generating the highest profit for the business, followed by cluster 3, right? And then followed by cluster 1, which is this blue one. And interestingly, if you look at this magenta, the ones with the very high profit, they are actually only generating 1.67 lakhs, while cluster 1 is generating 1.69. Think about it. This cluster is generating less profit than this cluster. So as a business, think about it. Which is more important to you? Do you care about customers who are individually generating higher profit, or do you care about the cluster that is overall generating a higher profit for you? It's an easy answer, no? That's where a lot of people, if you don't do cluster data, if you just look at it visually, it's very misleading because everybody will focus on these people without realizing that we should probably not neglect these people at the bottom because there are so many of them, right? And overall their profit, if you notice, cluster 1 profit is 1.69 lakhs, almost the same as cluster 4, 1.67. This and this is equal, right? Yeah. Any questions, anyone?
So actually, I'm getting different values on the bar chart. As in, my cluster 4 shows the highest number of profit, And I've taken sales and profit by customer ID and customer ID clusters on the
Let me check.
cluster chart.
Share your screen.
same.
Let's check. Share your screen.
Facing the same problem.
I don't know. We might
Yes,
have a
sir.
different data set. One second. How is it possible? Why would our clusters be different? I'm just thinking, is it that we are working on a different data set? I don't think so. And your
No,
clusters
sir.
look very different.
The sets were the same. Yes, sir.
Just remove the clusters first. Just go back to your field and remove the cluster. Yeah, just delete this. No, not from here, from the field list also. From the field list, click on the 3 dots, yeah, and delete this. Right, yeah, just click on clusters once again. Click on the 3 dots and select clusters. That's okay, leave that. Don't worry about it. Just click on the 3 dots on the scatter chart and click on clusters. Right. Make it 5.
Now it's different.
So I'm not sure what you did earlier, but anyway, this is what you should get, right?
Okay, sir.
Anyway, the result is not important. It's what we are doing and how to interpret that is more important, right? Okay, also on the scatter chart, if you go through formatting, there is an option called the zoom slider. Please select this, everyone. On the scatter chart, on the formatting, there is an option called the zoom slider. Please enable this. It's a very cool feature. This will allow you to zoom the values like this. So you can focus on a specific range, right? Like this. So if I only want to see customers with a profit of this, I can just zoom into that area, right? Like this. This feature was added last month and it's a fantastic feature, the zoom slider. Good. Any questions on this, anyone? See, we have both R and Python integration with Power BI. So if you want to run your own R and Python scripts, you can do that also, right? But yes, I mean, the point is that some of these visuals give you the capabilities with no coding required. But if you know R and Python, if you want to use that, you can use it directly within Power BI. Good. Any questions, anyone? So we are done with the topics for today. So we have done profit margin. We created a combination chart with conditional formatting. We used calculate and all. We then created a date table, connected it. After that, we found the QOQ change. And we have also done our scatter chart with clusters, right? The agenda for tomorrow is 2 things. We'll spend 1 hour working on a model, right? The model means that I'll be sharing a problem with you like this, where there are multiple files in a folder, right? We are not working on a single file. We are working on multiple files, and I'll tell you how to combine all these files into a single model, right? And then, so we'll work on this for about 1 hour. And then for the next 15-20 minutes, I'll tell you how to publish the work that you have done, how to publish it on the internet, how to present it, how to share it with other people, things like that. Yeah. Any questions, anyone?
Sir, could you please that Q and Q you shared? No, if you can say it again because I forgot some of the things. Yes, sir.
Which part? The Q&A?
Yes, no, sir. Q and Q, sir. That Q and Q, that quarter
The
to quarter.
QQ. Okay,
part.
okay. Right. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What do you want me to explain here?
Sir, actually, initially I missed that with the that infield. How you got that column? Just if you can share once.
Have you created the date table?
Yes, sir. Date table I have created. No, sir.
Have you
Date table.
connected the date table also?
Yes, sir. That's the issue. Here I missed the point, sir. Even
No problem.
actually I could.
Come to the report button, but the date table is created, no? Like this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Come to the report view. This one.
Okay.
And all you have to do is select your order date from the left and just drag it and put it on top of date. That's all. Like this.
Okay.
Drag it and put it on top of this. It should show a relationship like this.
Okay.
So this is the tough part. The rest is very easy because you can just click on a few buttons and get the result. The date table you will have to create manually. The relationship also you will have to create manually like this.
Okay, sir.
Once you have done this, then you can click on quick measure.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you can select quick measure and that's it.
Okay, sir. Now I'll
Quick measure,
okay,
select QOQ and the rest will happen.
Okay.
And see, this is a standardized process. Creating the date and creating this model. I have done this so many times that this is second nature. Like I don't even think about it. When a client shares their data with me, the first thing I do is I go to data, I create a date table, then I go to report and I create this. Now, obviously, every topic that I'm teaching you, you can do these topics in even more detail, right? So don't think that this is the only thing which is there. Just to give you a small glimpse, please see this. I can also create a more complicated date table like this. You don't need to do it now, but just wanted to show you. Here, if you notice, we have a date table like this. Right? What is this table doing? Don't focus on the formula, look at the result. This date table, everyone, will not just give me a date column, it will give me the date, the calendar year, the month name, and the month number. Very cool, right? A single formula is creating 4 different columns for you. That is the power of DAX. DAX is very simple in the beginning, but if you really want to use DAX for very complicated operations, you can do that as well, like this. And as you can see, these are readily available on the internet. So you don't have to put in too much effort. All of this is very easy to just copy and paste, basically. Okay, so let me just go back and make it my calendar, which is min of order date and a max of order date, so that there is no problem. This is working, and my 1 second. Yeah, all good. I'm just double checking in case there is any issue with any of the files, any of the pages. Yeah, that's all. Good. Other questions, anyone?
So we can also do the data cleaning part on Power BI, right?
We can do it in Power Query. So we have something called Power Query here. We'll be doing this tomorrow. You know, when I cover how to combine files and clean it. All that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Excellent. That's all from my side. Quick reminder. I have not a reminder, but just for you to keep in mind. So a quick note. I have already shared all the courses, right? We have a course on DAX also. This one. It's a 3-hour course on DAX, where I cover DAX in a lot of detail. I mean, for basics, for beginners, not for advanced users, for basic DAX users. Yeah. Great. So that's all from my side. Tomorrow we have 10 to 12, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
my session with I am Shillong is also starting tomorrow, 7 to 9. Yeah, 10 to 12. Cool. Great, guys. So thank you for joining me. I will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.